I don't care if I have to sleep next to it in the parking lot. I'm going to guard my car. About 10 years ago, I had a Lotus 11 LeMans. Really beautiful, simple English sports racer from the 50s. And I had finished the restoration on it and sold it and did well. And I wanted to get something cool. And that was a time when there was a little glimmer of hope I might get to move to Europe to do some racing. And so I wasn't really thinking long-term around here, because in my younger brain, I thought, well, whatever, I'm just going to be in Europe and I need a cool car for here or something. And I was looking, and there was a beautiful replica of a Ford GT40, the original one, the race car from the 60s. And this one wasn't a super performance, it was a CAV, which apparently was built in South Africa as well. But it had a stainless steel monocoque chassis as well, and it was beautiful. It's polished, it's gorgeous. And the car was proper and exact with regard to the body and everything like that. And it was finished off, it was just gorgeous. It was Guardsman blue with Wimbledon white stripes. And it was a Mark I body. So it was just a little bit more pure in form, a little more svelte, a little more athletic looking. I had leather seats actually, but with the proper grommets and all for the cooling like the original ones were, and all the right gauges that I remember if we drove at night it just reflected like on the windshield on the inside. And it was just like beautiful and soulful and amazing. And this one, I believe it had a 347, maybe like a stroke 302, was done by Ernie Elliott, one of the Elliott brothers, NASCAR shop. So it's a pretty good motor. It's carbureted, nothing too crazy, but the thing had air conditioning and heating in it. I don't know if it ever really worked that well, but it had it. It's better than nothing, I guess. Well, that seemed like a brilliant move to me at the time because I could, and that's what young guys do. And ended up getting this, and it came in December. And it was like the last dry day, but it was still cold out. Had proper Goodyear Blue Streak race tires on it, completely wrong tires. They were race tires, bias ply, etc. And this is December, so you can imagine where this is starting to go. But I didn't care because I was young and I had a gorgeous GT40. I was in love when this thing came in the trailer, and I was out, countryside outside of middle of Cornfield, Ohio, basically it comes. It's just barely starting to snow like this. There's a little snow on the ground. Ended up putting away, but I was just absolutely in love. And as any car, even if they're pretty, they need a little bit of sorting, here or there, whether you're doing brakes or some fuel lines and stuff. So I just really enjoyed it because that was really the first nice car I ever bought. Like, it was pretty nice. It wasn't like a whole restoration or some wacky, obscure 80s little hatchback or something. So I was over the moon. And it was a fast car. It's a tick over 2,000 pounds, something like that. Right about 500 horsepower, that'll get the job done. And I remember my little brother, he's pretty jaded. And I take him for a ride, and I'm like, dude, watch this. And I was in fourth, and I just go, boom, boom, in the third, and then down in a second, boom, boom, right in the power band and hit it. And he's like, oh, hit third. And he's like, holy crap. I mean, it was legitimately a fast car. Especially this is like 10 plus years ago before everything got crazy. Maybe it's to our benefit that cell phone cameras weren't that great back then, because I just remember a really tiny cell phone video of telephone poles just going whoom, 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 by like this. It was either Thanksgiving or Christmas Day, and it was reasonably warm out. Family dynamic was a little odd growing up, so holidays never happened. So it was basically, I just stood around looking at people going, well, this is boring. Let's go for a drive. I remember later, in a small town, there's nothing to do in the winter. So you go out with your buddies. You go to whatever bar. And this one was called the Clover Club, and it was like the nicer bar, which, is a small margin of gradients in the small town. And I go to the bathroom, and that shouldn't be an eventful thing, but somebody's in there, and this is already kind of unbecoming because I'm using the facilities at the time and go say, hey, man, aren't you that car guy that's outside or whatever? I'm like, yeah, I'm in cars, man. That's kind of a weird time to talk, though. And he goes, yeah, have you ever seen this really low blue car with white stripes? And I'm like, maybe. And he's like, yeah, I was out on Thanksgiving out on this country road. And I'm like, is it County Road 36? He's like, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, all I have to say is, I'm sorry. And he's like, what? No, man, I've never seen a car move like that before. That was the coolest thing ever. We were all with the family going, woo, like that. So that was an interesting moment of how a GT40 can excite somebody, even if they don't know to let you finish your business and go back out in the bar. It was an amazing car. Its real downfall was, though, as a replica, if you're ever going to get a replica, whatever that may be, or a really good emulation, something that makes a lot of horsepower as a mid-engine, is the Transaxle. ZF Transaxles were made in in the 60s. That's what the GT40s were successful with, and there's companies that make those now. And there's some really great Transaxles out nowadays that are synchro, so you can drive them on the street. You don't really want a racing dog box. If you're going to drive it on the street, that's just horrific. But this car, somebody put in, it was like a Trag Transaxle, which really was out of like an 80s front-wheel drive, front-engine Audi. And it works. You can adapt it, and it'll work for a while. The gear ratios aren't ideal for top speed. I drove it down to Columbus and went to autocross the car, and I had a great time. And I don't remember if I think it was pretty fast, but there was like one other car that was just better planned. It had modern slicks and beat me. But the GT40 was fun to even autocross because being mid-engine, it would really pivot and rotate nice. It was a nice car, but I was being easy on the Transaxle because I always knew it was going to be a weak spot. And the car was legitimately fast. If you just hit it in second or third and you weren't smart or rolling into it, you'd be spinning the tires, even nice tires, 60 miles an hour, 70, 80 miles an hour. I mean, it was a fast, wild and woolly car with no help or traction control. It was so depressing because I was just driving normally, like legally, just enjoying my car, went out and got ice cream. And I go to pull away from a stoplight and just pull away, and all of a sudden, boom, thump, 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 thump. Just like the most horrific shaking and bang. And I'm like, what just happened? And it just like, put it over there. It was running fine. Transaxle completely let go. Some of the teeth broke off the pinion gear, I think, and as well as the ring, took it with it. So it immediately turned into this horrific blending machine of hardened metal. Like, oh, great. Well, here comes this. That later, of course, got fixed. And instead of, and I didn't have any more money because I was a brilliant young person, decided I should just spend all my money on this one car. So it didn't get upgraded, but it did get it replaced with another brilliant Getrag Transaxle. So the wisdom there is, if you ever get another great replica, just get a good Transaxle. Don't blow the money on the engine. You need a Transaxle. The only other good story for it was right before Columbus Cars and Coffee really started kicking off and really having a good thing going in the days of Nelson Lamborghini. And they would do their drive. So a load of exotic cars would come down and they do a beautiful drive, and then they'd have a police escort for 270 loop, and then maybe they go to a club, something like that, to finish the evening. We go to this nice club downtown. It's very chic, it's very nice. There's gonna be some complimentary drinks, things like this. So I park it out back, and it's a GT40. There's no locks, there's no roll-up windows, nothing like that. It's a race car that has kind of air conditioning in it. And so I go in and I go to order a cocktail, and that's all I'm gonna have. And you were supposed to get a free bottle of champagne. And I said, well, okay, can I get that? I'm just going to put it, I don't have a trunk, but I put it in a compartment or something and take it home. They're like, no, that's for here. With our license, you have to drink it on premises. Let's just say that I quickly realized, and friends realized, yeah, I'm not driving anymore this night. The GT40 is going to stay there, okay? And my friends, they were at an STP concert that night, and they're like, hey, why don't you come, we'll walk by, pick you up, we'll walk downtown, you can sleep on the couch or something with us. And didn't sleep. I'm like waking up at like 3 in the morning going, I'm an idiot. I have no clothes for this. I'm in a hotel of friends downtown, and my one thing that I own that's cool with no locks is sitting behind a club downtown in a kind of area. Oh, this is a terrible idea. So I did what any car guy would do. I quietly left and walked in the middle of the night all the way back to my car. And I'm like, I don't care if I have to sleep next to it in the parking lot. I'm going to guard my car, which is really annoying because then there would be other people getting out of clubs, which decide to be very loud. And they're like, well, is that a Ferrari, man? No, that's a Ford, man. Well, I think it'd beat a Ferrari. I'm like, shut up. I'm trying to sleep here. So that was the night, which was exacerbated of that embarrassment because the next day my dad was going to a British car show, which is a typical baby boomer thing to do. It's like, oh, my Austin Healey and my Mini and my Morgan. You know what I mean? A fun thing, but they're not exactly going out to the club the night before kind of person. And I show up to that in the GT40. Oh, and it rained, so it now looks filthy. And I'm definitely wearing more club-like clothes for the night before, which I thought was in good taste at the time, but certainly don't go over really well when you're the one young punk driving into the British car show in a dirty GT40 with basically looking like a walk of shame the next morning.
We'd like to thank Vincero Watches for supporting VINwiki this month. Vincero makes bold, stylish, and well-priced watches out of exceptional materials, and there's a link in the description below for a discount. So check out their website and find the watch that helps make the statement that you want the world to see.